Hello and welcome to Meet Our Makers. I am your host, Jeremy J. Facette. On this episode, we get to meet Lady Lazarus. Lady Lazarus is the pseudonym for Melissa Ann Sweat, a singer, songwriter, and pianist who has now released 4 full-length albums under the Lady Lazarus moniker. In this chat, we talk about what it's like being an introvert in a time of social isolation, and what kind of healing might come from being left to one's own devices. We also discuss her musical career, from the sort of ambient, experimental beginnings of her first album, Mantic, all the way up to her most recent one from last year, Impossible Journey of My Soul Tonight, which Melissa calls her most pop-oriented record yet. We also discuss our shared love of film and nerd out a little about a couple of our favorites. So please enjoy, and thank you for listening. This is me meeting Lady Lazarus. How are you?
I'm pretty okay. How are you?
Yeah, that's about how I probably am. Pretty okay. Hanging in there.
Yeah.
Are you hanging?
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like day to day with all this stuff that's happening, and I feel like my emotions with it have just like ebbed and flowed, and I think it also brings up a lot for a lot of people, just different things. So
Yeah,
I've just been kind of taking it as gently as I can, but it's just, these are very unprecedented, extreme times that we're in, and so I'm constantly reminding myself, almost like as if I were a child, like, like you don't know how to act in the situation. So everything that comes up, if my emotions have been all over the place. So all of it, I've just been trying to be present with and accept and just be as accommodating of all that as possible, because it's all relevant. But it's just, it's hard to manage and overwhelming, but
yeah.
That's been my approach, is just, reminding myself that none of us have gone through this before. It's incredibly overwhelming, stressful, scary, so many things.
Yeah, and I think that's a good approach, though. I mean, it's sort of it's very true. None of us have gone through this before. So basically, whatever anyone's really feeling is valid.
Right.
Because no one has gone through this, so no one can say, okay, well, that's not going to help, because
right.
we don't really know.
Right. Yeah. And for each of us individually, it just brings up so much too, I think, in this time, like so many people are in such unique situations, and it's just, everything is heightened and augmented. And there's just a vast amount of experiences out there happening. Like my experience is so unique to someone else's. It's fascinating, but it's also, I think for me personally, and, we can only kind of come back to our own personal experiences to really speak like our full truth. I'm in a pretty fortunate position myself. I have to just acknowledge that and admit I still have my, my day jobs, and I'm in a stable position. But then there's just this myriad of experiences out there of people where you hear about, domestic violence going
I
up,
know.
and obviously so many people out of work, millions and millions. And so I know that I'm in this, like rare category, and I am very lucky for that. At the same time, it doesn't mean that it's not easy, that it's easy.
Yeah.
It's still very stressful, but it's just, all of it's valid, but it's just, it's a lot to take in. So I've been trying to, on the most part, not overthink it, but I can definitely get into these modes where I'm just like wow, like, trying to take this in on a global
Yeah.
and like in a human scale, like, oh, how is this affecting people's, like sex lives, and how is this going to affect like dating and romance,
Yeah.
because all that's really real too, and some of that I feel and relate to. But there's so many, it's changing just so much of our fundamental experiences as human beings, that we are all affected by it. But for a lot of us, you can't help but be fascinated in a way, by just all the various impacts, and
Yeah.
because it is fascinating. I mean, and that's not to say that I'm like taking some kind of like perverse objective observational role at it. I mean, but you can't help but look at the broader implications of what's happening. And it is what it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then
And
we all have our very personal experiences of it, so it's
yeah, and there's a lot of some of us never really had this much time on our hands, and when people have this much time on their hands, there's sort of this inevitable introspection that might start happening,
mhm.
and that can go any number of ways. Because this stagnation of everything, this stopping of most things of our routines in our daily lives, it it is unprecedented, and I think it does sort of set a lot of people into this tailspin, because we don't have the equipment for this, at least not now. We're kind of making it as we go.
Right. and
So it's just a
and
very interesting time.
right. And the majority of us, particularly in this culture, we're a very, doing, productive
Hmm.
culture. And so we get uncomfortable, a lot of us, when it's time to just be inside. Now, for someone like me, and maybe perhaps for yourself as well, um, you know, for creative types, we're sort of used to this. I've had one of my friends said to me, he's like, "Oh, I've been preparing for this my whole life."
Yeah.
And I greatly relate to that. To be honest, my day-to-day life has not been impacted. My day job, I work from home already.
Yeah.
And I am definitely one of those people, even though I'm kind of an ambivert, I need my people time. And I like doing that when I can do it and want to do it. I
Hmm.
am definitely more prone to being at home, and being in my own space, whether it's doing my own thing and creating or not. So yeah, for me, it hasn't changed, but I can also feel how it's not normal for me, and how I need to still get out and
Yeah.
and see some people. But I can only imagine for the very super extroverted individuals, how difficult this is. But even for me, where I'm very on the introverted, introspective spectrum, it's been challenging, but it's also been just very, very profound. I've been really, you know, relishing this time alone. I think it is, I feel like it's an opportunity to, on many different levels, like one, to just get in touch with yourself more and to be comfortable with being alone, which at the end of the day we all are.
Sure.
um, but it's just also giving me a lot of, like spiritual insights and healing. And
Mm-hmm.
I think on some level, I think this this is part of a greater healing, um, and a greater examination, of our lives and how we want to live them. So on that level, I'm kind of embracing that.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned being sort of an ambivert, which is not a term I've really heard much before, but I exactly know what it means just because I feel like I'm exactly the same way. So, I mean, I'm pretty introverted, typically. I'm not a hugely outgoing person. If I'm in a group of new people, I'm like so uncomfortable usually.
Right.
But and so like my friends will go out sometimes and I just won't go because I just don't want to.
Right.
But then other times I want to, and so I go. And so even though I spend most of my time at home, I mean I live with my boyfriend, so I'm not physically alone, but sometimes he'll go out with friends and I won't. And so I am alone sometimes and I like it, but there is something about the requirement now of needing to stay home that
Yeah.
is so different. So even the introverts and the people who are homebodies, I mean, I'm also a teacher, so I didn't work from home, but I do now. And I'm fine working from home, like in general. It's just it's that sense, the almost foreboding sense of like, oh yeah, but I can't, like I kind of can't leave my house. Um like I can go outside and I can go for a walk somewhere, go in my yard, but typically we all sort of need to not go anywhere public, and that restriction is so new.
Right.
And so even though I am quite introverted, I still sort of feel it in a different way. Like I'm like craving to go somewhere
Right.
and almost
Yeah.
anywhere. And I mean, we've even talked like, okay, so once it's a little warmer out, because we're in Connecticut, so it's still sort of cold. And once it's a little warmer out, we could maybe have a friend over, like one at a time, like and only stay outside, like they don't even go in our house. But just that human connection that I half the time at least don't even want. I'm just like craving it now because we can't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I really relate to that too. Like, even though I'm, on that similar side of the spectrum, I feel like that basic need for people has become more aware for me, which I
Totally.
I'm kind of I'm kind of grateful for, because I think sometimes I've thought of myself as like such a lone wolf, and like, not that I don't need people, because I do, but I I think I've kind of leaned more toward that side. But now I'm now that it's completely taken away, I'm realizing how much I need it. And
Yeah.
even something as simple as, like going out, I would always like go out to like a bar and just chat with people there, and it's like you can't do that now.
Yeah. And I mean, I used to like go get coffee with someone on a Sunday morning and like,
Right.
or even by myself. Like that was one of my favorite things to do. Since I'm a teacher, I have summers off, obviously. So like when I'm alone on a weekday, that's like one of my favorite things to do is just
Right.
go coffee shop alone, like listen to music, maybe try and do some writing or something. And now I can't even do that. So
I
yeah, it is just this
know.
big shift of,
I know.
and I mean, that
And
sounds like such a petty, a petty thing to
no,
complain
it's
about.
kind of beautiful. It's beautiful to realize it's that David Bowie lyric. It's the, I never thought I'd need so many people,
Right.
and I've been replaying that. I'm like, I never thought I would need so many people, but I do. I want to I want to
Yeah.
be around everybody, and I
Yeah.
can't. I just want I just want regular people around
I
walking
know.
around.
I know when I go out for coffee, I'm alone, but even if no one else is in there, it doesn't even matter. It's just like the mere act of being out and doing something out in the world. And it's something that I think so many of us, myself included, probably now have realized we have taken for granted. And
Right. Yeah.
and it is something, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna go like total ham when we reopen, but I will very quickly want to get back into my routine. Although I have been wondering for myself and everyone else how any of our old routines will change when it reopens. Will we do the same things? Will it be like a testing the waters thing where we're like nervous to go back out?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It's going to be weird. Any fashion that we reopen everything in is going to be really strange, I think. And I don't think there's a right way really to do it. It's almost going to be a trial by fire thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of the rules uh, are going to, dictate that. So, for instance, I'm in California, and there's
Yeah.
this like 6 point criteria for reopening the economy and getting people back to their regular jobs. And I don't know all of them offhand, but it's definitely not going to be life. In my opinion, it's not going to be life as it was back to normal.
Yeah.
Um, where people are just going out to restaurants and bars and coffee shops and live music. I've heard,
Mhm.
and yeah, speaking of, live music,
Yeah.
I've read things where it might even be, a year where there's not going to be big concerts. Like people can't meet up in the hundreds and thousands in big
Yeah.
concerts, or even less. So I'm not really sure what that reality is going to look like. I don't think it's really hard to. I'm not a big sci-fi person myself. I mean, I like some, sci-fi. Like I've read, like like Heinlein and Vonnegut and that kind of stuff, but I
Mhm.
don't get too big into it. But you can't help but be in kind of this sci-fi mind about all that's happening right now, and this, and like what a new future and new reality is going to look like. But I definitely don't think it's going to be 100% back to normal. It's going to be a phased in
Totally.
reality and step by step kind of thing.
It's so interesting too because I'm still in grad school because I'm taking it so slow, but I'm in a speculative fiction class.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's like the professor keeps joking like, I picked these books like a long time ago, and like I'm sorry that they're all so apropos now.
Right.
Like it's just like worldwide pandemic after worldwide pandemic, and we're just like, ugh,
Right.
the
Wow.
parallels. It's so strange because it's
Yeah.
total sci-fi, and most of them, except for the one we're about to read, were written at least 30, maybe 20, 30 years ago, and they're so relevant now, and it's so eerie.
Wow. Wow.
I
Oh
mean,
my
it's not, I mean,
gosh.
obviously it's not the same thing, but it's close enough where we're all like, oh.
Well, it's often that way with
Hmm.
speculative fiction and writers in general, where it's that intuition, it's that tapping into, you know like where life is headed, and then
Yeah.
more often than not we head that way.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we listened to this little interview with Margaret Atwood because we read Oryx and Crake.
right.
And she was saying how when she writes speculative fiction, which is basically all she writes, she doesn't think of it as inventing new things. She's inspired by the weird, terrible, underground shit that's already happening.
Exactly.
So she just takes it and makes an educated estimation as to where these characters in a world very much like ours would have ended up.
Exactly.
And now we're all like, oh, okay. So those
And
predictions were a
yeah.
little more prophetic than we wanted them to be.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've all seen, especially even with her, how it's like it's not too far off.
Oh
That's
yeah, I mean
yeah.
when especially when the Handmaid's Tale series came out, so many people were like, "Oh, this is like really uncomfortable because the parallels are insane." And
Oh yeah. I
as
mean,
wild as some of those stories are, when you break them down, their fundamentals, the parallels do line up pretty well.
well, yeah, and like the wave of rolling back of access
Hmm.
to women's health care in various states, particularly in the South, over the past few years, has just
Yeah.
been astonishing in this Trump era. And I remember that as well. I was like, and of course there were women, wearing Handmaid's Tales like
Oh
outfits
yeah.
out
Yeah.
and about protesting. But it's like, yeah, that I mean, it couldn't be more real. That's actually what we're seeing is
Yeah.
just a continual erosion of our reproductive rights, and it's very frightening. And I love that series and I love her work.
Yeah. I
But yeah.
Forks and Crake was the first novel of hers I've actually read. So I have to explore more. I have Handmaid's Tale, and I think I might have another, but
Oh,
yeah.
Jeremy, I have a funny thing. I was thinking about this today, because I know you're a film buff, you're a film guy, and
Yeah.
I was just trying. I've been really. It's such a mental game these days, right? Like just trying to stay sane. And I'm definitely prone to melancholy and
Oh yeah, me too.
being anxious and sad, like I mean, I'm definitely vulnerable to that. But I also just love humor. And even though it doesn't ever come across in my work, I don't think, I love humor, I love comedy. I love to make jokes and just be a goof in my life. And so one of the things I was thinking about today was, what are some okay, so I was doing my laundry today and I put on a scarf around my nose and mouth, like you're supposed
Hmm.
to go down to the laundry room. And I was thinking, okay, what are some films where someone's wearing a mask? And I was trying to come up with some kind of like Criterion Collection.
Oh, like COVID-19 criterion.
Exactly. Yeah. Like mask focus
Oh, there's got
Criterion.
to be so many.
Well, okay. I came up with a couple. So Eyes Without a Face.
Yeah, which I haven't seen, but I know. Yes.
And then what was the next one? Oh wait, shoot, I can't think of it right now. I was coming up with them earlier.
Phantom of the
Okay,
Opera.
and some of them don't apply because they're eye masks, but I feel like they apply also. Like Zorro, I feel like
I
should
was
be.
Yeah, Zorro was my first thought.
Oh wait, and then one of the other ones was the Invisible Man,
Hmm.
maybe even the Elephant Man, right? Because didn't he have
Maybe.
a mask at some point,
Oh, I don't remember.
or was like in bandages?
Probably that. Probably that.
Right.
I don't remember. I'm probably embarrassing myself right now.
Oh no, it's fine. I was just like, you know what? I think I want to watch films where people are in masks.
And speaking of Eyes Without a Face, I haven't seen it, but it's so iconic that I know a little bit about it, and I do know Edith Scobe was in that Holy Motors movie,
Oh.
and I think she wears a mask at the end of it as like an homage to that film. Have you seen Holy Motors?
I haven't seen
Have you
Holy
heard of
Motors.
Holy Motors?
No, I don't think
It
so.
is this French film by Leos Carax, which a name I'm probably saying terribly wrong, but it's this super 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 strange film. I think it's from 2011, and it's not. I don't even know
Oh
what the hell
wow.
it's about, but it basically, like, if you look at top 10 lists of the decade, like from film reviewers, it's probably on quite a few of them because people really loved it.
Wait,
Um,
watch this tonight.
oh God, you're gonna have nightmares.
Oh, it's scary. Okay,
It's
never
not. No,
mind.
it's not a horror movie, but it is horrific at times.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very very strange. Essentially, it is very like dream logicy. And if I remember correctly, I've only seen it once, but if I remember correctly, it starts with a guy looking, like watching a movie screen, or like he's dreaming of a movie screen, and then like we enter it or something, and like that's the movie. I'm probably mixing that up with something, but it's a very dream logic film, and there's like this one guy, I don't know who plays him. He's like a well-known French actor, and he basically goes through this 1 24-hour period where every so often he'll just completely change lives, and he'll change into this entirely different person, this different character,
Oh, wow.
entirely different history, like 100% like one guy's like this sewer rat who like attacks people. This other guy's a limo driver. Like it's 100% different. There's a musical number in the middle. It's a wild movie.
That sounds very fascinating. I
It's a
like it.
really cool movie. If you can find it streaming somewhere, I definitely suggest you at least give it at least one watch. It's definitely worth seeing. There's
That sounds
nothing else I've
really
ever seen
cool.
like it, which is always exciting. Even if you don't like something, it's so nice when you see something that you're like, wow, I've never seen a single thing like that.
It's so weird. Oddly enough, like I can't think, I'm sure there are maybe other examples, but I can't think of another example of an actor playing like such multiple roles within the same film. Like I can't
Yeah,
think of
and
that.
they're so different. And if I remember correctly, you see him like switch. So you see him take off a costume and put on another one. It's a very meta kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's really really weird, and there really is nothing else like it.
Maybe I will. I did just look it up, so I think I'll check out the trailer. Maybe I'll watch it. I've also been. I don't know if this is if you've been doing this too, but well, I mean, one, I tend to not watch a lot of like violent or like scary movies or
Hmm.
super intense movies, anyways. But I've just been really careful about what I've been taking in. I've just been trying to make the world around me kind of like soft.
Yeah, well then
Right.
I don't know. Holy Motors is not soft.
Yeah, okay, so maybe I'll save it for another
There
month.
there there
So
are soft moments, and there are really really funny moments, but and Kylie Minogue is in it. I forgot about that.
oh, that's cool.
Kylie Minogue shows up for like one scene. But there's also some really grim, gruesome moments. It's very, very like careening left and right. You never ever know where it's going.
Maybe I'll see. Yeah, I've just been like I haven't just been going for, straight up gooey, or comedic
Mhm.
like movies. I've watched quite a few things in quarantine and stay at home mode. My favorite so far, which I can't believe I didn't see before, was Talk to Her.
Oh, I've been meaning to watch that. I've never seen it either.
It was so good. Oh my
I think I
god.
will love it.
It was oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm a big Almodovar person, all of his films, because everything just always hits the right note with me, and he's also
Yeah.
so good with women. Like his
Yeah.
that's one of his trademark, signatures, is just like really captivating female characters, complex, strong.
Am I wrong in thinking he did Y tu Mama Tambien?
You know what? I don't think he did it to Mama
Who
Tambien.
did that one?
Uh,
I'm really outing myself as a terrible film buff
oh
because
no, you are a good film buff. We've talked about films
I
before.
know, I know. I suppose we should probably mention that. So we've we've electronically known each other for a couple
Oh
years.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't remember why or how. I think it might have been
I
back
know. I
when.
remember how. I
Oh,
remember.
do you? Maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
I think
Tell me.
because you were working for or with was it Anthony Fantano? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, the needle drop.
Yeah, the needle drop.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still do. I still edit for him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think maybe that's how, right? I think
Yeah, I think I was writing a piece about one of your videos or something.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I don't know if I reached out to you or you reached out to me, probably on Facebook or Twitter. But yeah, we've been chatting for a while, just sort of randomly about whatever.
Great. Yeah. And so
So
we've come to know
it's
about
nice to finally get to
marketing.
actually talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's so funny. I feel like I already know you.
I know, I know, I know. That's interesting too, because my whole point with this podcast is like, oh, I'm gonna like meet people and like, and check. I mean, I don't know you, but like we're not full strangers.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but
And
it
I
is nice to
know that
finally get to
we
talk to you.
exactly. And beyond music stuff, I know that we both are big film people too, just from your
Yeah.
posts, things I
And I get the
share.
feeling that we have similar film interests as
For
well.
sure, for sure. Yeah.
Like when you were talking just now about you weren't just specifically talking about film when you were saying you want the world around you to be sort of soft. The films that immediately came to mind, and I don't know if you'd agree, are Spike Jonze films, which
Oh,
he's one of my favorite filmmakers. And I mean, he's so not prolific. He's only had 4 movies in like 20 years. But being John Malkovich and Her and Where the Wild Things Are, they are soft. They're very melancholy, and there's such a loaded, like pregnant emotion underneath them. But they're very soft to me. So when you were mentioning that, I immediately thought of Her and Where the Wild Things Are mostly.
I like that. I like that. Maybe I'll recheck out some Spike Jones films. I've
Have
always
you
loved
seen Her?
it. You know what? I'm trying to remember. I'm gonna Google.
That's where Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with Scarlett Johansson's voice over the computer.
You know what? I didn't ever see that one. No. Is it really good? Is it good?
I love it. It's probably my favorite movie of the past 10 years.
Wow, that says a lot. Okay,
But some
cool.
people but some people thought it was cloying, or like they couldn't, if you can't buy in, like if you can't get yourself to buy into that central conceit, then you're not going to be able to go with it,
Right.
because there is like an innate almost silliness to it, and you have to either embrace that and go with it or get over it, because otherwise you're not going to be able to enjoy the movie. Because for me, there's such a sweetness and a tenderness, and also just such a deep, deep sadness to the situation. But I can only find that if I take it seriously.
Right.
So you
Right.
have to buy into it, and it is a strange plot. But if you can get yourself to buy into it, which I mean, most people I think who have seen it seem to like it. And Joaquin Phoenix is so good, and Amy Adams is so good in it.
Oh,
She
love
plays like a
yeah.
role. I mean, Amy Adams is great in almost everything,
Oh,
but
she is. She knocks
but
out of the
she
park.
oh she always does. But she plays this role that really probably could have been played by almost anybody. It's kind of like the throwaway role, but she injects so much life into it. And she has this one scene. I wish you had seen it so I could like start crying about it. But she
Aw,
has this one scene, and you'll know it when it happens towards the end, where she's talking just alone with Joaquin Phoenix, and it makes me want to cry every time. It's so beautiful.
maybe I'll
Um,
watch it tonight. You have me
yeah, oh my God,
intrigued.
it's so good. And then we
Yeah.
can keep electronically corresponding about it. So I feel, we've been talking for a little bit now. We haven't even mentioned that you are a musician. Which is really, I mean,
Yeah.
I've only been interviewing musicians so far. I'm very open to interviewing other types of artists, but musicians seem to be the most willing to sit and chat with me for an hour. So it's been nice. It's been fun. Um, but you are a musician. You record under the name Lady Lazarus, for anyone who doesn't
Mhm.
recognize your birth name. Um, you just released a new album a few months ago. I don't know how many months, but it feels like not that long ago.
Mhm. Mhm.
In 2019, Impossible Journey of My Soul Tonight, which is such a nice and long title. I love long titles. What does that title mean to you? Like, how did you pick that?
Yeah,
Or did it just sort of stumble out of your psyche?
yeah, it's funny. My album titles have gone for like they're like one word and then or like multiple or like a whole phrase.
Hmm.
So it was like Mantic was my first one. And I
Yeah.
and I love that title. It just says a lot and a lot of people don't know that word and so it's very it really encapsulates a lot. And then my second album was All My Love in Half Light, which I just made up, was a phrase I made up, but I knew what I was trying to articulate with that. And then the next one was Miracles. And that's all I wanted to say was it was kind of a bold statement. And
And there
then
was a
this
title track. I
one,
mean, isn't that your only album with the title track?
Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
there isn't a mantic or yeah, actually that's the only one with the title track. Yeah. And so that's true. That song really on that album was sort of like the linchpin for that album.
Yeah.
It was all around that song. Um Now in a similar way, that's kind of how this new album came about, but it was more of a sonic linchpin. So the song that really kind of got me thinking, oh, okay, this is how I can envision this album, was the first song of the it happens to be the first song on the album, um, which is I Know What It Feels Like. And that was, a lot of my stuff recently has been mostly on piano or keyboard, but I've had it on like a piano setting, and
Hmm.
so I've kept it kind of traditional. And my stuff doesn't vary too widely from there, but on this song this was electric piano, and so it had a little bit of a more, a little like a slightly more electronic vibe. And I just thought, this is kind of where I want to go. I want to have more atmospherics to it. I want to
Hmm.
have like more of like synth sounds and this kind of like just general atmosphere going on that I haven't had. And so I started to hear that that was the like sonic direction that I wanted to go in. And I had songs, previously that I could maybe bring into this, and then I also needed to write new songs. But when I wrote that song, that was which was probably in maybe summer of 20, when did I release, of 2018.
Hmm.
So about a year and a few months before the album came out, that's when I kind of realized like, oh, okay, it was sort of like it's like when like a planet is starting to like build gravity around it and things are starting to like pull into it
Yeah.
and gather like that's what was kind of that kind of pulled other ideas into it. um and so yeah, that song kind of started it. But yeah, so the title Impossible Journey of My Soul Tonight kind of was a little bit more thought out in the way that all, all my love Flight was thought out, where I wanted to express a theme.
Hmm.
And for me, this album is kind of a culmination of I would say, well, for me, it's a soul journey for myself, where I feel that I've done a great amount of healing work and have kind of reached, this level of kind of finding myself again after a lot of, difficulties, and that once seemed impossible.
Mm.
And so I wanted to, acknowledge that in the use of the word impossible. um However, I also wanted to embrace the concept of dark night of the soul,
Yeah, I was
which
gonna
is
say that. That's what it makes me think of.
right. So I kind of wanted to make my own phrase of that.
Hmm.
And so, within this healing period, you know, there were many dark nights of the soul. And I think that, we all have that from time to time. We all have our own, dark nights. Um, and I wanted to express that in the title, in that, this is an impossible journey of my soul tonight. And to
Yeah.
say tonight because it could only last for the night.
Right.
And because I think that there's, I've had, me personally, I've had many moments where I've thought, I don't want to be here. I want to check out of this planet. I want to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't think I'm going to last the night. I've had friends who have checked out of this planet and who, unfortunately have you know killed themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and all that's real. And so I guess in my title I wanted to speak to that 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 dark time. It can last for a while, obviously, but in a sense it could also just last in a night, and that night could be a period of your life, but that period is something that you can get out of, with the right things. It's not always that easy, and I never think that it's not always a solid given for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I was speaking to with that title. And it seems like an impossible journey, but that's the thing. It's actually achievable if you can hang on.
Yeah, and
So
I
so
feel
yeah,
like that
that's
makes
that's what I'm
sense.
speaking to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it is an impossible thing when you're in it, but then just sort of latent in the title, the word tonight implies sort of a temporary nature to it.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, maybe tonight will feel impossible, but it's just tonight. And there will be
Right.
and there will be a tomorrow, and maybe it won't be as impossible tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. That's exactly it. And I also think it's okay, even though it's really difficult, and I don't want to advocate, miring in darkness, but we all have to feel that a lot
Hmm.
to get out of it, to understand if we've had trauma, and so much of us have. So we have to kind of mire in it for a little bit.
Yeah.
So it is sort of that reminder of like, well, it can only be for tonight. And again, that tonight is not just one night, it can be a phase of your life. But
Sure.
there is that. And then, from like a musician standpoint and like a listening standpoint, I also was kind of envisioning, like I often do, you put on a record for, and that's your, salvation.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, like, create that space where it's like you can just kind of come into the space of this record and feel safe and feel, maybe comforted, and resonate with the the feelings that are being shared.
Yeah.
So that's that's what I was also trying to share with that title of, like, come into this space for tonight.
Yeah. And I mean, and then that's sort of like you said, the linchpin, it's sort of like the thing that is like sort of the mission statement of the album itself.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the lyrics, I mean, you've never been a songwriter who writes in my opinion, you've never been a songwriter who writes super super obtuse or really out there lyrics. There's always definitely been a groundedness to your lyrics, but I feel like this album, and I mean, maybe you would disagree, but I feel like this album of yours was the most direct and candid lyrically that you've been on record.
Hmm.
And I was wondering if there was sort of that deliberate, I don't know, maybe demystifying, making it more approachable in a sense, because you mentioned that you typically write on piano, and that's always been true, but when you especially look at Mantic and All My Love and Half-Light, there is sort of a haziness to those albums, and there's
Right.
a lo-fi ambience to them, especially Mantic. And it seems like with every record of yours, your voice gets clearer in the mix, your lyrics get much more direct and candid, and it feels like that is appropriate now, given your sort of ethos behind the album itself.
Yeah, I think that that's really well observed. I think that aesthetically, I kind of came from that lo-fi realm where, I really loved like early Smog records and
Right.
things like that. And and I just really feel like, anything can go lyrically, and you can just express yourself at will. And I
Yeah.
think that as I have developed more as a songwriter, it's a funny thing, but you know it's not that I want to be a total, pop songwriter, but I think I just value more the directness of, pop or more traditional songwriting a little bit more. As I've just developed, it just
Hmm.
becomes a little bit more, I don't know, just it's hard to say, but like tasty and rewarding to
Hmm.
come up with something that feels like it's being delivered more directly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't it wasn't ever a conscious choice. Everything that I've done along the way has just sort of been like a natural progression. But, I consider one of my heroes, Tom Waits,
Hmm.
even though he's idiosyncratic, his music is, and his songs are pop. They
Yeah.
are they are pop. They're timeless. They can be interpreted by many different people and have. And so I feel like, more and more, that's what I want to do. I would want to, pop is like if you write pop in that respect, like a Tom Waits or, someone who's delivering something really valuable, but through a medium that's palatable, it's
Hmm.
basically medicine with sugar.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
because
just going to go down easier, which is lovely.
yeah, and I mean, it's when you say pop, uh, many people will instantly think of like radio pop music, which
Right, like
maybe
like
maybe
Katy Perry or
maybe
something, or
yeah,
yeah, Taylor Swift,
which
yeah.
which in a sense does a similar thing, but it's not the end all be all of what you're talking about. I mean, to me, when people are talking about pop songwriting, it's kind of just like, how do we cut to the quick as soon as possible while still maintaining the integrity of what I'm trying to say? Because if you can get it more direct, like I said, like I feel like there's sort of this new sense of candidness, which was I could sort of see it on Miracles too, but there's like a candidness there, and the less, ornamentation and the less totally obscuring reverb there is, the easier your intended message will be to get across.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes people, maybe you were feeling this back in the Mantic days, but sometimes people, like you said, they want to express themselves, but maybe they don't want to be heard, so they want that outlet, but then they can obscure it with all these tools, and so they still got it out, and maybe you can kind of get the emotion from the vocal or the sound, but your words aren't right there on the page.
Right. Yeah, I think in the Mantic days, it was so raw for me. Just,
Mhm.
everything was new, and I just it was very immediate. So everything that was on that record it's just very immediate, even though like most of it I went back to my own recordings at home.
Yeah.
And about half of them were working with a friend who had their own little studio downtown in San Jose where I was living at the time. So it wasn't, it was all very lo-fi, but that's what I liked. And I think, yeah, I think I've just, there's still, a good amount of, like feel and reverb on this, but there's a greater clarity
Yeah.
on this record. And I think it's just been this gradual evolution of me kind of being more comfortable to step forward in that way. And I can definitely say that in my next record, I'm not sure, when I will do that, but I would want to go even more forward with that. I
Hmm.
had a lot of, even though I loved, where my vocals were at and the sound of the record as a whole, I did get a lot of feedback from people saying, oh, I wish the vocals were more up front. And I've had people say really nice things like, your vocals are really lovely. I wish I could hear them more.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know, maybe there's still a lack of confidence in me about that, that I probably need to work on. But I feel like I feel like my next record would be even more,
Yeah.
um, more, clarified and more out there, in terms of just the fidelity um I think I don't know, it's hard to say. It's like sometimes I question it. I'm like, am I just well, one, I just don't think that, even though I came from listening to lo-fi and I'm such a 90s, like indie college rock nerd,
Yeah.
like I just don't, it's just not the sound that you hear. And like a shoegaze girl, like you don't really hear that a lot now.
Hmm.
um and I think there's just, I think I'm just more interested in seeing now like how I can be heard and how it can be more clear. And even in the structures of the songs that were on this record, everything it's been kind of going in a more pop direction.
Yeah.
It's not fully fledged there. It's not a Beatles song, but it's not a Beach Boys song, but it's like wanting to be there. It's like taking from that.
Yeah.
And I'm enticed by that as a songwriter, but it's still my own, it's still my own thing. um but I think just as I develop more in my own songwriting, it's sort of like and I don't know if everyone feels this way. I think a lot of like the new Fiona Apple record, for
Yeah.
instance. I think it's multiple things. I think it's her immense songwriting talent, but then she's also devolved it a little bit,
Yeah.
to be more raw, which is great. It's like, because she's already at the zenith of songwriting abilities, so she can take a step back and do other things and throw in more of the humanity. And then it can like exist on, like within that full spectrum, which is, I love that. It's very, and that's very profound.
Yeah, but
But
she said,
for
and she's
me,
even said so much is that, like, she basically has said that the reason, like, many of the lyrics on the new album aren't, she doesn't even think of them as being very poetic because that wasn't really the goal. And you can kind of, when you compare it to her older records, which were, of course, even from the beginning, from Title, were exceptionally well written, they were always like songwriter songs,
right,
and this one, while probably her least pop record, is very candid to the point where it sort of like surpasses songwriting, and it's almost like she's just like just talking. There's
right,
like
yeah,
such a candidness to the
yeah.
words on that album.
Yes. Yeah. There's like this like spoken word almost feeling and
Yeah.
immediacy. And even in like the vocal delivery and the rawness at
Yeah.
times and what her voice does. But then underneath all that is her just, like wonderful compositions, and where she's just phenomenal with that. So that's another thing. I mean, I don't particularly have that where I'm like some kind of wizard at the piano, like Fiona Apple is. But yeah, I took some time actually with that record the other day. I was like, I need to have a moment with this like everybody else is having. And
Yeah,
it
it's
was it
definitely a
was pretty
record that
remarkable.
it's a record that demands that moment of attention though.
I know.
You
And,
can't really give it
oh,
half of your attention.
oh, it was, yeah, and it's just on so many levels, it's such a good time for it.
I know.
But
Someone
yeah,
tweeted, I forget who it was, but someone tweeted like fetch the bolt cutters sounds how 2020 feels. And
right.
that's totally true because even if someone walks away from that album like unimpressed or like they don't like it as much as other records as hers, there's no denying that somehow, even though she recorded it like mostly last year, I think, somehow
Yeah,
she got this raw nerve, this exposed nerve, anxiety, tumultuous, overflowing. I mean, the whole album is
right,
bursting at the seams. I read one review that was like, the arrangements on this album are begging to collapse at any moment, and they just don't. It's
right.
like the air has been sucked out and everyone is on fire. And I don't know. It's like, it's true. That's how 2020 feels.
That is so true. And again, back to I think we were talking about earlier, it's like it's amazing how, songwriters and writers can just kind of tap into these things
Yeah,
and then they all of a sudden become realities and very relevant. And
I know. It's so often that we get a new album that sounds like it's about our time or something, and then the band leader's like, "Oh, but I wrote these songs 3 years ago."
right,
But it's just
right.
maybe it's because we just have a habit as humans of like applying a modern contemporary lens on everything. But there really is like an eerie uh, prescience to so much that's released that was written so long ago, and it's a very strange phenomenon.
Oh yeah, well, I believe in that for sure. And
Yeah,
I'm sure that someone like Fiona Apple is pretty tapped into the ether and what's
right,
going on. And
right.
so
And it's
yeah.
interesting, and it's interesting to hear to go back a bit. It's interesting to hear you discuss the transition from sort of the Mantic time to trying to get more direct, because I feel like I remember when Mantic came out. Because I mean, I found your work when Mantic came out because Pitchfork reviewed it. Um, and I think it wasn't probably the Pitchfork review, but there were some people comparing your work to Grouper's work.
Right.
Um, and I don't think that your work and her work sound that similar, but I almost wonder if the intentions were similar, because if you look at her older work, like her really older work, I don't know how deep a dive you've taken into Grouper,
Yeah.
but she has her first couple albums are just these like murky beyond belief loops of droning vocals and like detuned guitars, and it's super super weird. You can't understand a single word, but you know there are words and there's a melody in there, and you know that she took the time to write lyrics, whether they're verses and choruses or not, and sing them, and then she obscured them beyond recognition. And then later, like recently, she started releasing these staggeringly like sad piano albums, which
Mm.
are very direct, at least by grouper standards. Like if you listen to Ruins, which I think is a great album, um, you can understand almost every word. And I wonder sometimes if it was for her like this, maybe not conscious or intentional, but this sort of in this accidental like desire to almost just like cut through the noise, like cut through the bullshit and just be like, I'm going to write songs and you're going to hear them and you're going to actually know what I'm saying, and you're going to hear my vulnerabilities instead of me hiding behind all these effects. I'm just going to sing straight to you.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of the vibe I got from your most recent record. Even though it doesn't sound like a grouper record, that's the intention that I felt as I was listening. Like, okay, so because I've listened to your first two records quite a bit, and it was just like, all right, so Miracles and this one, it sounds like you are really just trying to, like I said earlier, just like cut to it.
Yeah, it's it's interesting because having the on like a sonic level, like having the vibe and having the vocals be more in the mix of the music and what's happening, it it creates its own feeling, and it's very different than songs that are constructed otherwise. So
Yeah.
it takes a different kind of approach, and it's sort of like if I mean, not to say that this is how it was, but it's like, yeah, what if like My Bloody Valentine like made like really like like made
Yeah.
super high fidelity songs, or where all of a sudden there was like this really clear vocals. I guess I was just, to me, that's how I wanted to express myself then. But then I realized that you know I was actually very, I mean, the at the core of what I do is melody and lyrics. And so I wanted that to come out more, and over time that's what has emerged.
Yeah.
Um but I still it's also a question of, okay, well, how do you still have that same feeling that you had in those early records of the rawness, or that murkiness, or that atmosphere. And
Hmm.
so I'm learning how to be more clear, which I desire to now, um, because maybe it is that maybe I do just want to be heard with my voice and with what I'm saying, and I want it to be, it's pretty, it's beautiful, and I want it to be there and
Yeah.
not obscured. Not that it was not beautiful then, but it definitely is just augmented more and heard more when it stands out and is recorded well.
Yeah.
Like for instance, for this last record, this was, so on Miracles was the first time that I was in a professional studio, like a fully fledged professional studio. um but this last record, Impossible Journey of My Soul Tonight, this was like the ideal studio experience for me. I was at Tiny Telephone in Oakland, which has such a great history, and I was with Bo Sorensen, who has recorded with so many people that
Hmm.
I know and love. And so it was like I got to do exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so that's how I feel on this record. The only thing I can say is that one of the things I was very, it's definitely fuel for the next record, but I was very, even though this feels for me, this felt like I was very out front with my vocals and the clarity of it. It was very fascinating to me to get some feedback from reviewers and things that they wanted to hear my vocals out more.
Yeah.
And so I find that to be very fascinating. And I think that for the next record, I'm going to push myself more to be
Hmm.
even more out front. Um, um, so we'll see about that, but
Well, good luck on that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I just think it would be, I just think it would be really, I think that's kind of what I need to do. I think that's
Yeah.
where I'm at. That's what I need to do.
Yeah. I would ask what you're watching or listening to, but we kind of already talked about that. You're going to watch
Yeah.
Her by Spike Jones.
Yeah. That would be a good one to watch. What else is on my list? Let's see. I don't know about what to watch right now, otherwise beyond what you mentioned, but
I've been a really bad film person lately. We've been watching mostly series, mostly television.
yeah, it's kind of a lot about the comfort right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
which is
Plus, like, there's just a lot of really good television right now,
yeah, that's so true.
and I
That's
really need to watch that new Hulu show, Mrs. America, with Kate Blanchett
oh,
because she's one of my
wow.
favorite people,
Oh, yeah.
and
I
she's
love to
finally
see
doing a
her.
television series. So,
Maybe I'll try to watch a Kate Blanchett film tonight and get some of
watch
her
Carol.
in my world.
Watch Carol. I love Carol. I have a Carol poster. I'm looking at it right now.
That was a great film.
Oh, it's so nice. It made me swoon. It was one of the only movies recently I've seen twice in the theater.
Oh,
Because it's just
I
like
love that.
I watched it and like it's just so beautiful. We could have a whole hour where I just talk about Carol.
I know. Next time we'll do like a whole film subject.
We'll just talk about movies we love for an hour and hope people really are riveted by it.
That sounds great.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with me tonight. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. This was so nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, you take care. Bye-bye.
You too.